Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols and I'm here to bring you Nicholsworth, and today we are featuring the JPS Jewish Publication Society translation of the Hebrew text into English, also known as the Tanakh. Now this is translated from the Masoretic text. The oldest one we have is from 900 AD-ish, somewhere between 900 and 1000, but is actually believed to be from the original temple text that was used for copyists for centuries and centuries before that point. Now we do have some older manuscripts that still exist, for example the Septuagint and the Dead Sea Scrolls, but this is considered by most to be the most reliable Hebrew manuscript in history. So let's take a look. Number one, the cover. The cover is a bit thin. It's almost like a paperback, but not quite. Certainly not a hardback. It is certainly not like a soft fake leather. This is kind of stiff. It has a yellow liner with what appears to be a little bit of reinforcement there, so it should hold together. It is a glued binding. Now, a lot of people have concerns with glued bindings, but this one being so small, I think it's not going to be a problem. Typically, when your glued bindings fall apart, it's your big, thick theology books or your big, thick Bibles. This is really lightweight, really easy to hold. It's not going to take a lot of abuse when you walk around with it. It's only 7.25 by 5.25 by 1.5. It's really lightweight. I don't think the glued binding is going to be a problem at all. It does have a decent little headband and tailband there, kind of matches the white text or the white text block. Now let's take a look at the text itself. It is a 7-point font, so it is a little bit small, but you will see it's got quite a bit of margin space here. Let's take a look at another page. On the outer margin, you can see that it has a little bit more right here, but let's take a look at one that has a full, here we go. So your inner margin here is going to be very narrow, but your outer margin has about an inch, no matter the text type. But when you have poetic settings, look at that, you've got a ton. So while this is a little bit of a small text, if you've got pretty good eyesight, you're not gonna have any issues with this. It does have a few translational notes, but again, these are not critical notes. These are just based off the Masoretic text. Now what's interesting about the Tanakh is that it is actually an acronym from the T, the N, and the K. We have the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible believed to be written by Moses. We have the Nevi'im, which is like your prophets, and then we have the Ketuvim, which is the writings. Now, one thing that's interesting about this that you may want to take a look at the end is it has some of the books you wouldn't expect at the end of it. For example, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Now, the reason the Jews read this in a different order is because the story of 1st and 2nd Chronicles is basically an entire repeat of the history of Israel. So they arranged this in a way that made it conducive for memorization. If you notice, like in the New Testament, where Stephen is recalling the entire history of Israel, or where Paul is recalling the entire history of Israel, it's because they were trained by the way this book was ordered. So this is actually the order that the Septuagint is in, and this is the order that Jesus would have been used to. So this is a really cool resource. It was finished in 1985. In the early 1900s, there was an effort to do this, but it wasn't really completed. But this is a complete work. What's really neat about this is there were so many scholars involved. This is one of the most monumental achievements, probably since the Septuagint, in translating the Bible from the original Hebrew into another language, and we have it right here in English. So that's pretty cool. This is an incredible work. The Society did an amazing job on this. Nebraska Press really did an amazing job putting this together, and I just think this is an incredible resource. It's around $40, so if you want to pick this up, I'll have a link for it in the description. Meanwhile, keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.